Okay, so in this video I'm gonna focus a little bit more on the blueprint side of things, more specifically the attack sequence. In the previous video I gave a pretty broad overview of what's going on in the project, and so based on a request I'm gonna pretty much just go in and focus in on how I'm doing the attack sequence. So to start off, in the project settings input, I've got my attack action, and it's mapped to keyboard X and gamepad face button left, which on the Xbox controller would be also the X button. That's pretty much the action for that. So just quickly and take a quick look at the montage. I do play all of my attack animations. I play them through montage, and pretty much they're all full body. So there's the name is full body, and these are all my attacks in the one montage, and I can call them in any order. They are actually in, like, the combo at least is in order there, and then the jump attacks and stuff is at the end there. There are some experimental kind of stuff in there, but anyway. So you see the attack animation there, and you also see the little trail happening there, which is added through the notify. And I also do so I've got so just bring that into view. I have the trail and the notifies, and I also have the damage on the notify. So these are two custom notifies that I've added. The trail is actually a notify that is part of, it's already there, you just add them, but you can also create custom ones, and so these are custom ones. So and they obviously only happen there on the dangerous part of the animation. And all the attacks are set up like that, so they all have the correct space there for when the damage starts and when it ends. And essentially what it does is it switches on the capsule component that does the overlap event for the sword, which I'll talk about more just now. And along with that, the way the notify works is you add it, so as soon as you've added notifies, you can add them in as notify events in your animation blueprint. And I just add it in and I cast it to the main player, which is my Ninja blueprint, and I have some custom events that I run through these notify events. And so this is my main character blueprint and my attack stuff, and I'll get to the notifies just now. Yeah, I'll get to the notifies just now, so just remember the notifies. Okay, so remember I've shown the attack input or action, so this is it. As soon as you push that X button or the X button on the controller, on the Xbox controller, it'll run this event. And so this just gets branched out to this gives me basically I have this same boolean running through all my input events so that I can globally switch on and off player input. So if you die, you know, I can switch off input, and when you respawn I can switch it back on and stuff like that. And then I have a second one where I can more locally just switch off the attack input and have all the other inputs still work. So case in point, over there, the thing I do, so you push to attack, I switch off jump. So while you are attacking, you can't jump, right? I mean, that just wouldn't work. So, and then the jump resets based on this delay, and it's retriggerable so that if you kind of rapidly tap the attack button, this will just keep resetting until you stop doing it, and then it'll set jump back on. Otherwise you might get some overlap where you can jump while you attack if it's just a normal delay. So then it splits out into various pieces, and these all do things that make things happen while you attack, which I'm not really gonna get into too much. They do various things. It's got nothing directly to do with the attack, so I'll just mention now that if if you specifically would like to see in the next video or an earlier video how these things work, let me know. But I'll eventually get around to making videos that incorporate these things. I'm also going to mention that I'm not really going to focus on the jump attacks for this video. It's I think it's just too much for one video to have all of it in one, so I'll break that out into a secondary video as well, and maybe in that video I'll add some of these things. But anyway, so going to the attack, and the attack runs essentially through a gate, and the reason for that is pretty simple. It's so that if you rapidly push the attack button, the attack will only happen as it should. So you can push it, and the very first time you push it, the attack happens. And if you keep tapping it, it won't do anything, because now I'm running through the gate and I make the attack happen, but also at the same time I'm closing the gate. So as soon as you push the button, it both enables the attack and closes the gate. And this delay will cause the gate to open again eventually, and allow you to continue the attack. So that is simply to control based on animation and stuff, so that you can't attack as fast as you can push the button, right? That's just not right. So that's what controls that. And this delay is controlled through a variable, because I need this delay to be either shorter or longer based on the type of animation that the attack is using. And then also at the same time, I'm setting the enemy hit, and also resetting it. And again, it's a retriggerable delay, so that if you keep pushing the button, it won't actually reset this, because this runs and it runs through a do once. So it sets this, and then it's done until you stop bashing the keys, right? And then it'll disable that again, and then reset to do. So the next time you attack again, it'll just do the same stuff. And these things pretty much just controls this overlap event, so that it enables this overlap to be able to be used. And that's essentially what that does. So next up is doing the rotation rate for the player. Just bring that down quite a bit, so that while you're attacking and you're pushing into different directions, you just can't rotate too quickly, so that it feels like really unnatural. And I mean, I don't want to lock the player down while you're attacking. I just want to kind of make it look a little bit better, so I just slow it down. And then it basically goes into the attack sequence. And I think I'll explain these things as I get to them inside this event, or this sequence. So quickly, I'm going to jump back to the notifiers. So if you remember, the notify gets called in the montage, and it's actually it actually runs the event for that inside the animation blueprint, and that casts to the player and runs these custom events. And pretty much all they do is they enable collision for the for this capsule, which will do the overlap on the enemy to damage the enemy. I'll just show quickly on the collision. I've added some custom collisions, so I've got a Ninja custom collision, enemy and weapon, and the weapon can overlap with the enemy, and not with the Ninja, so I can't damage myself, but I can damage an enemy. And the same with the enemy weapon. The enemy weapon can damage Ninja, but they can't damage other enemies, right? So it's just an easy way to control what actually can affect what in the game. I might even take that even a little bit further the more I get into the game, but for now that's the only events I've needed. Not events, but collision channels. Right, so that also sets whether the sword can trace for walls and stuff in the world, so that if you happen to hit a wall with your sword, it'll create some particle effects, and that's a whole different story. And then also it sets whether the sword can do damage or not, and that's just another check that I do in the damage event. Just I have multiple layered controls over everything, so I can very specifically say when what can happen. So okay, so that was a little bit of a tangent again, off with the notifiers, but so on with the attack. So you've pushed the attack button, you go through all the previous stuff, and now into the actual attack, into this sequence. So I set another boolean, and this pretty much feeds into the animation blueprint, just so that correct animation path happens. This is where I basically set the defaults for the delays. So the short delay is 0.3 seconds, and then the long delay is 0.5 seconds. Runs into another branch, and this branch basically checks to see whether I'm in the air or not, and to say whether I can split off and do a jump attack, or should I just do a normal attack. And splitting off to the jump attack does a few more checks to say what I should do then, whether I can do something or not, or what I should do. But yeah, like I've mentioned, I'm not actually gonna focus on the jump attacks just yet. It's probably gonna kind of need a video of its own, and I'm still working on them a little bit, and I'm not completely satisfied that I'm done to the point where I want to show, and I'm not sure that stuff isn't going to change quite a bit. But anyway, so you're doing the attack, you're not in the air, reads false, goes into the attack, and so the attacks pretty much these guys. So they each one of these windows is a is an attack, and they they run in order based on these branches, and so all of these branches are set to true to start off with. And so the first time you press attack, it'll read true, and it'll go into the first attack, and immediately it'll set this. It'll set the boolean to its own branch to false, so that the next time you press attack, it'll read false, so you can go into the next move, and so on and so on. So that's kind of how I make the combo system work. So on this I also set the can walk off ledges setting, which is a default setting that's actually on a character pawn. It's basically it's a little bit of an experimental thing that I did. It needs a little bit of tweaking, timing tweaks and stuff, but the idea is that because I move the player forward when I do an attack, I don't want to be able to fall down a ledge when I'm just attacking. If you just happen to kind of stand there and you just hit the attack button and you keep moving forward, you shouldn't be able to fall down a ledge just because you're pushing the attack button. So that's what I do there. Switch its own branch to false. Set the damage amount for the sword, and I set a new damage amount. Even if it's the same, I just keep setting damage amounts for any attack that I do, just so I can make sure that the correct damage is applied. But I do actually change the damage over the course of the combo move. So the more aggressive the move, the more the damage. And I do a check to see if I'm on top of a wall. I've mentioned the wall top thing in my overview video, and I think I've shown it in my last gameplay video. So it's just a check that I get based on a trace, and it just checks to see whether I'm on top of a wall or not. If I am, then play the appropriate attack animations. And so obviously this is the first attack. I need to attach the sword to the hand, and so that's why I do this. So grab the katana, attach it to the skeletal mesh, specifically to the hand socket, and I snap it to the target so that it snaps into place and it aligns it to the correct axis as well. And this here is where I set the delay amount. So if you remember right in the beginning, there's the gate, and this is where I set that delay to reopen the gate. That's why I set that amount, and it's fed in from here, and it's fed in through these variables, and these variables are defaulted over here. So it seems a little bit backwards and forwards, but yeah, the original idea was so I have variables so I can reset them into different timings if I needed to. Then I changed the player speed down to 0.1, so you can hardly move if you're using the keyboard. If you keep holding down any direction and you start attacking, then you'll speed right down, and then this will actually control your speed. So this timeline, all it does is it just ramps up the value. So it just goes from 0 to 1, which is the fastest running speed, and then back down to 0. And in a very short time period, it's like 3 seconds. So it just pushes you forward enough to kind of have you move forward when you attack. And this branch checks with this boolean can move while attack. It's just a boolean that I set based on whether there's an obstacle in front of me. So if you're standing somewhere and you attack and you keep moving forward, eventually if you reach a wall or something, this will see that wall and make you stop. On top of this, I have another thing that if you stand right up against the wall and you attack, you'll actually it'll actually cancel out the attack and push you back, so that your arms and stuff doesn't swing through the wall. It's because you can't stand right next to a wall and swing a sword, right? It's just so it's just a little extra layer of control. And then that's the first move. And so if you continue tapping the button and you go into the second move, the same stuff happens, except in the second move I have another branch that allows me to say, can I do a combo or not? And that's based on whether I'm hitting an enemy or not. And so you can't just do a combo. You have to actually hit someone to be able to do a combo. And that's what this allows me to do. So as soon as I hit an enemy, this goes to true, and it says this to false, which means I can continue with my combo move. Push up the damage, play the correct animation, and set the delay. If it's false, I reset these two booleans, and that pretty much what that does is it'll just go back to this move. So if I keep pushing and I'm not hitting an enemy, it'll just go in between these two, back and forth. If I am hitting an enemy, it'll go from this one to this one to this one to this one. So reset those, set the damage. On this one I've also added the wall top. The wall top thing is kind of it's not experimental, it's just in early stages, so it's not fully implemented. So I've added it there and I've added it there, but I haven't added it to everything yet. So anyway, it's there. Yeah, really, I actually don't have to add it to everything else, because unless there's a case where you can actually hit an enemy while you're on a wall, which I'll see how that works out. But anyway, it's kind of an earlier feature. It's an early feature, so it's not fully thought out yet. So do the wall top check, set the delay, and do the forward motion. If the combo was possible, that would be false, meaning it'll come into the third move, and it's simple. It's set to false, set the damage, play the animation, set the delay, and move the player forward if it's possible. And if that was possible, if this combo is possible, come down, do the exact same stuff, and then in the final move, the combo finisher will reset all those. So after this move, you'll go back to the first move and do the same stuff otherwise. And I also have a temporary check, which I still have to create unique checks for what move is busy happening. So this is basically where I said, so if you saw in the last gameplay video where I was able to slice the enemies in half, sometimes it'll do it, sometimes it won't. This is basically where that check is. So if the enemy dies based on this move, he won't get sliced in half, but on this one he will, because I've set it to true. And the stop movement thing, when I call this is a custom event that I can call from any place. When I call that event, because I use this timeline to move the player, if I want to stop the player for whatever reason, I can just call that event and that'll run into this and it'll stop all of these. So it doesn't matter which move you're in, it'll stop it dead. And it actually does that based on whether I'm jumping or not as well. And yeah, so just to finish this off, all of that stuff happens as soon as you push the button. All of that stuff happens, and if you keep tapping it, it'll just kind of step through these, as you know, based on the criteria, whether the full combo is possible or not. It'll just kind of pop between these two. If the full combo is possible, it'll just step through these until it's done. When you stop attacking, this stuff kicks in, right? The sheath sequence kicks in, and after about 5 or 6 seconds, the sword, you'll put the sword back into the scabbard. But also this happens, and I'll just quickly show in this. So also in here, all those things gets reset. So if you stop attacking at any point and you attack again, this will be reset, so then you can actually start over. And a few things gets reset in here as well. So you remember I said can do somersault to false in the attack, so I set it back to true over here. Gravity, I have some gravity settings that I changed in the jump attack that I set back in here, so this is kind of my reset for certain things. Reset back my rotation rate. I set back the flying swallow to false, which ultimately there will be a few more booleans here for the other powerful attacks. Set my player speed back based on whether I'm on the wall or not. I have a slower speed or a normal speed, and so on. So that's pretty much the attack sequence. I don't think I specifically left anything out, but as before, if you saw anything, or if I showed anything you don't understand, or if you saw anything that you want to have more deeper explanation, or whatever the case might be, please leave me a message. I'll do another video where I go more into detail on the jump attacks and some of the other stuff eventually. So I will get to everything, but if there's a request, I'll probably get to it sooner. So I think that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching.